Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about communication tips for medical coders. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I've been a medical coder for over 10 years. I really love what I do, and so I hope that by sharing my experiences with all of you, it will help you on your journey, whether you are a brand new medical coder, a future medical coder, or a veteran medical coder. So take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos that I post. Now, today's episode is a little bit being posted late because I had a little bit of a delay with filming, but it's okay. I'm here now. See, and if you had the notification bell, you know. So anyway, but yes, I hope that you'll hit the like button at the end if this video helps you, and I hope that you will share this so that it can reach many, many more people. Okay, so let's begin. All right, communication tips for medical coders. A lot of you have asked me, Blue, what is the big deal about body language? Why are you always posting body language books on your Instagram and talking about it in the community tab? I talk about this because it's a secret weapon. You know, how you carry yourself and how you present yourself in the world says a lot about you. It says a lot about your capabilities. It says a lot about the success that you will have when it comes to communicating with others. And particularly when you are communicating with alpha personalities, like a lot of these providers are, you really need to up your game. And when you up your game, it adds so much more value to you as a medical coder, because you're somebody that can not only code and code well, but you're somebody who can communicate effectively, and that is really key. So it's all going to start with the basics: how you are speaking, how you are putting your ideas across, and are you being clear? Yes, it does happen sometimes where you get fumbled and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start stuttering and I'm going to start. It's okay to take a breath and start again. Everybody knows that everybody gets nervous, okay? And if they tell you they don't get nervous, they're lying, because everybody gets nervous. But it's about having clear speech. If English is not your first language, or if you have a very thick accent, I would strongly suggest that you work on your dialect, that you work on making sure that your words are very clear and that you are understandable, okay? The only reason that I say this is because this is just the truth. When it is hard for somebody to understand what you're saying, it's going to put up a barrier, okay? Rather than have that free communication of, well, I'm your coder and I need a query to be answered about this subject or that subject. And then if you have somebody that who has a very thick accent, it might be harder for the person to understand what it is that they were wanting, okay? So I'm going to tell you these things, and don't take this offensively. Don't take it personally. It's not meant to be personally, okay? None of this is. This is just tips on effective communication, because if you have that roadblock of communication where people see you and they're not able to understand what you're saying, there's going to be people that are not going to want to be as patient with you or listen to the things that you have to say. So I'm just telling you, it's all about bettering yourself. I know that there are many things in the beginning that I did that I had to work on, and I have worked tirelessly on self-improvement. I have really tried many ways to make myself a better person, because I want to make sure that all of the efforts that I put in are clearly put across to everyone, whether it is with my providers or with my fellow coders, or even with my boss. I need them all to know that my focus is my work and my focus is getting better, because I feel like if I'm better and I'm on this team, I'm going to make this team better. And it is wholly about teamwork, okay? You want to make sure that you are being a good team player, because being a medical coder does require you to be part of a team, okay? Now, whether it is the team being you and the provider, or you and all your fellow coworkers, you're part of a team. And yes, we can work independently. And yes, a lot of people say this is an isolating field. I get it. But it can also be social, as far as like when you are having to communicate and things like that. I've been accused even on my channel of somebody saying, well, you're using work as a social playground. you don't know me. I don't use work as a social playground. I have a lot of things that I do in my own private time. But when it comes to devoting my time to being present at work, I am being present at work. And there's a difference between somebody who goes to work to collect a check and go home versus somebody like me who is there to engage, who is there to learn more, who is there to help support my providers, help support the staff. I'm there to engage. That is what I'm there for. And that is being 100% present in whatever you do. And I give it 100%, 110%, honestly, if I'm being honest with everybody. I give it 110% when I go into work every day. And I enjoy what I do. I always say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I really do believe that because of the simple fact that you have to be able to be a really good communicator and you have to really enjoy what you do. And when you communicate well, everything else will fall into line, okay? Now, like I said, if you have a very thick accent, just work on it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that will help you with your dialect, okay? That's the first one. The second one is good written skills. You have to have really good writing, punctuation and all. Yes, there are some times when you start sentences and they're incomplete sentences or it's not structured the way it should be. Just take your time, guys. And the more that you read, the better your writing will be, believe it or not, because as you're seeing those words, into sentence structure and everything, as you're paying attention to that, it will start to flow over into your own writing. Well, Blue, I don't like to write. You're going to have to get over that because you're going to have to write queries. And queries have to be written in a legal way, as far as like you're not leading the provider, you're not trying to make them document something that wasn't there. You know what I mean? They need to be the ones to come out with the answers themselves. You just ask the questions. So you have to learn how to formulate good questions where the provider can respond and get the information that you need as far as clarification, things like that. The better and more detailed the documentation, the better it is for everybody. The better it is for the patient, the better it is for the provider, because that way everybody knows and it's clear what work they put into it, what work they put into being with that patient, okay? And everything else will flow in the line, okay? It's not about, well, you're doing this because you're trying to make more money. It's not about the money. Like I said, if you're doing everything right, the money will flow and it will come, okay? You don't have to worry about that. Don't even focus on that, because as medical coders, we do not code based on revenue. And that is a strong, strong misconception with a lot of people, that we code based on money. It's not about money. It is about what is communicated in the documentation. Do you fully understand what that documentation says? There's a difference there, okay? I know a lot more now, obviously, being 10 plus years in versus when I first started. And I'm just basically looking at a record and I'm just trying to make my way in this record, like what happened here, what did they do, and this sort of thing, But when you have somebody who fully understands because they have actively tried to engage with the provider and understand what is being communicated in this documentation, it's going to be better. But that communication is going to be on you. You can't depend on the provider to reach out to you, okay? That's above all else. You cannot depend on the provider to reach out to you and say hello. Yes, right now we are all in this COVID nightmare, okay? We've got this pandemic, and I hope every day that it is over sooner rather than later, okay? And I'm so thankful to the frontline workers. I am so thankful to everybody who is wearing a mask, who is, being responsible when they're going out. I am thankful for those people because you are saving everybody else's life, okay? And so because of this, we are in this pandemic, but once we get back into the social nature of our daily lives, or somewhat, right? When you get back into your facility or you're back into your doctor's office, you need to really take the time to meet with your providers. And when you are meeting with them, part of your communication is not just, you know, how you speak and how you write, but it's also physical. Like, how are you carrying yourself? Now, I give you guys this question because of the simple fact that a lot of times when we get very shy or we're not really sure, we just sort of kind of look very meek and, you know, oh, I don't know if I should ask, or I'm sorry to ask you, I'm sorry to bother you. No, no, no. We need to get that language out. We're not sorry, okay? You're not sorry. You are there to do your work. You are there to help them. You are there to partner with them. You should never apologize for wanting to partner with your provider. Never. You can be as respectfully direct as you possibly can. And I do that a lot. I will say, pardon me, sir, I have this, or I need this, or whatever. And I'm very clear about that. I never start off with, I'm sorry to bother you, or I'm sorry this, or I'm sorry that. When you say that, when you say you're sorry for nothing, basically it's a sign of weakness, you know. And even if you're just trying to be where you're trying to appear very polite and very mild mannered, right? It's there's another way to go about it, okay? But you have to show strength, and you have to show the fact that you are strong and you're there as their partner. Nobody wants a weak partner, right? You want to be equally balanced as far as like how you're pulling your weight. The provider does the encounter, they document what they're supposed to, that's them pulling their weight. You as the medical coder are pulling your weight as far as looking and digging to make sure that all of the diagnosis and procedures are picked up and that everything is clear. That is both of you balancing each other, and that's a balance of weight, okay? So with that in mind, don't apologize when you are going to go and meet with your provider because you have a question or whatever. You can start off with, pardon me, sir, pardon me, ma'am, and that's it. But never apologize. Don't say I'm sorry, because again, it's going to show weakness, and you don't want that. And a lot of times providers will get very irritated if the coder appears to be unsure of themselves. You need to be as confident as you possibly can. And yes, for rookie coders, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Be yourself, be respectful, be clear in your speech, and be clear with what you need. And before you go to them, make sure that you have done your research. Make sure that you can bring items that are, sorry, this thing is, my shirt is bothering me. Make sure that you can bring things to back up your arguments, okay? If something is conflicting and if you need something clarified, okay? So that is really, really important, all right? But how you carry yourself, make sure you stand tall with your shoulders back and you put your best foot forward. And again, if you are in the office and you are well dressed, even with our masks, being well dressed is automatically going to elevate your game, okay? And I talk about being well dressed all the time, and some people don't quite understand why. This is about being the entire package as a medical coder. It is not just about knowing your conventions, knowing how to apply the codes, and knowing the rules and things like that. It is the whole package. Can you communicate? Can you facilitate education? Can you do all of these things? Those are equally as important as knowing how to apply the codes. Because if you need something clarified and you're just sort of meek and asking, and I'm sorry, and I didn't know, and if you have a very alpha provider that gets irritated with that, they're going to bark at you quick. But if you have somebody that comes to you and says, pardon me, sir, or good morning, sir, or good morning, ma'am, I have a question for you. I see that you have here documented this. What does this mean? Can you explain this to me? Because I see this and I see this, but I still don't quite understand. Oh, okay. The more direct you are, the more you get to the point, the better off you are. Okay. And that is key. Okay. So be as direct as possible and be as to the point, because they don't have time for unsure and, not being on your game. Okay. And I tell you guys to read these body language books. And my favorite one, I'm not going to show it because I have the camera and it's the other way. And so it's going to show it backwards. But I'm going to post it again on my Instagram if you haven't had a chance to see it yet. But the book is called Reading People, How to Understand People and Predict Their Behavior Anytime, Any Place. And it is by Joe Allen. Oh, I hope I said it right. Demetrius, PhD, and Mark Mazzarella. So this book is one of my favorites. I have a few body language books, but this one is about reading people. Now, when you are able to read body language, it's a secret weapon because you can look at somebody and you can tell if that person is receiving the information that you're saying or if they're not, or if they require a little bit more clarification, and you can adjust what you're saying based on what they are telling you with their body language. Because again, a lot of times providers are not going to be open with you and say, I don't understand. You have to be able to read them and look at them and say, okay, I know that they didn't get this, or maybe they're irritated right now and maybe I just need to take a step back and come back later when they do have more time. You can always do that. There's nothing wrong with taking a time and just taking a beat and saying, okay, well, we'll just table this for another time when you have a little bit more time to deal with this. But the thing is, as long as they know that you are actively pursuing them because you are wanting to be their partner and understanding and bettering the documentation and everything, it will work out because eventually they'll start seeing what you're doing, especially if you're going above and beyond and trying to get these things. But I wanted to read something from this Reading People book that I thought was really interesting. And it is about being a team player, okay? And a lot of times in interviews, they will ask this question as well. And it says, what's in it for me? The interview goes something like this. The boss: what I'm looking for is a team player who can spend his or her time worrying about the company and not focused on himself. The applicant: I've always been a team player. I believe if you remain focused on what's best for the team, everything else will take care of itself. Standard answer, you know. The boss: do you have any questions about the company? And I already told you guys, if you're applying somewhere, you get an interview, you make sure that you get that, you know a little bit about the company that you're applying with. Do you have any questions about the company or the responsibilities that come with the job? Another question I told you guys to ask. And the applicant says, well, I was curious about how long it would be before I'm eligible for a vacation and how many weeks vacation would I get each year. Putting aside that the boss hopelessly tainted the first response with very poor questioning, this applicant has revealed what's in it for me personality. A true team player wouldn't have focused immediately on himself. So it's about putting others before yourself. And again, when I've talked about the Arbinger Institute and how it's about outward thinking and it's about others, it's not about you. It goes all back to that. And being able to have this talent of being able to read people is really, I cannot tell you how helpful it is, okay? But again, a couple of tips on body language. We all know that crossing our arms shows defensiveness. This means if you see a provider doing this, it doesn't necessarily mean defensiveness, but most times it will be, okay? When you start to see them relax and put their hands down by their side, then you're okay. But sometimes they'll cross their arms in front of their chest because they're thinking. So it really all depends on what's happening. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going into defensive mode, okay? Another thing is when they are asking you questions and they're asking you follow-up questions, they expect you to know what the answers are. If you have to say that you don't know, never ever say that you don't know. If you don't know the answer to whatever they're saying, then you need to say, let me do some research on that, sir or ma'am, and I'll get right back to you on that. Easy as pie, okay? But you want to avoid saying anything that is negative, okay? Again, don't say you're sorry for something that you don't need to apologize for. Don't say, oh, I don't want to bother you, because it's not a bother if you're trying to help them. Okay. You're doing your job. And according to the ethics, it is part of our coder ethics that you do that, that you actively engage with your providers and provide education when it is needed. Okay. So it's not a bother. So get out of that. Okay. And work on your confidence. Work on the fact that you are bringing something to the table. You are not there as just somebody that needs something or whatever. You are bringing something to the table. You are actively a fruitful partner in this relationship. You bring something to the table. So remember that. You bring your talents, you bring your strengths. And believe it or not, some of these doctors, and they always say, one of my favorite doctors is Dr. Zubin Damania. He's Dr. Z, or Dr. Z Dog, MD. You may have seen him on my YouTube feed. I put him on there quite often. But he is amazing. He's amazing about speaking the truth about like doctors and how they feel and things like that. They go through so much and they are under so much pressure. So gauging how you are responding to them when you need something and perhaps you see that they're not engaging with you, they could be going through something personal. Now, Dr. Z talks about this a lot, and he says, there's a high rate of depression, there's a high rate of suicide in physicians and in healthcare workers because, there's so much demand on them, and really, who is taking care of them? This is when your strengths as the partner, medical coder, can come into play. If you can see that what you are talking about is making an impact, then you're on the right track. But if you're going in there and you're just being rude and mean, and I'm tired of you, and I'm fed up with this, and I'm fed up with you, and you're going to do what I say, that is the wrong approach. You never, ever want to have that approach. Ever. Or I know more than you, and you never want to say that as a medical coder. And unfortunately, I've seen that too often. Okay? So you need to humble yourself and know that you are in a partnership. It is not, I'm higher than you. It's not that. And it's never going to be that. And to round out this conversation, your self-talk is going to affect how you communicate as well. If you are saying to yourself, oh, I'm a B word, I'm a B word, okay? This is huge among women, and I see this a lot at work, and it really irritates me. This is one of my hugest pet peeves when I see women do this, when they call themselves the B word, and they're real proud of it. They say, oh, well, I'm the B word, and I'm proud of it. Why are you proud of it? What does this word mean? This word literally means a female dog. That's what you're saying that you are. Is that a good image to put out of a strong woman? No, it isn't. If you want to truly showcase your strengths as a woman or as a male, you know what I mean? You need to do it in other ways. There are other ways to describe yourself. I personally would never, ever allow that to be characterized about myself. I am very direct and I am outspoken. Those are two qualities that I know I do have. But I also know that I am compassionate, and I also know that I am a very empathetic person. I can sense other people's energy. That's what I do. So I would never characterize myself that way. When people characterize themselves in negative words like that, it carries over into how they're communicating. Because if they think that they're a B word and they're rude and mean, but they say, well, oh, no, I'm just being direct. No. There's a difference, okay? So make sure that when you are doing your own personal self-talk, that you are reminding yourself that you are smart, you are confident, you are in control of your actions and the way you're responding to others. That is what you can control. But if you have that attitude of, oh, I'm a B word, and I'm proud of it, you need to get rid of that negative attitude, because that's a negative attitude to have about yourself. Nobody wants to be a female dog. Nobody wants to have that energy around them. You are strong, you are smart, you are confident. There is a difference between the two. Because when you show things like that really rough attitude, it's a sign of weakness as well. If you have a rough attitude because you think it makes you look cool and strong, again, there's going to be a lot of intellectual people, these providers, that are not going to want to deal with that. I have seen coders get removed from clinics for having this attitude because they think that that's the way that they need to behave. And the clinic chiefs said, no, we're not dealing with that. And they moved them. So don't be in that category, okay? Whatever you do, don't be in that category. Yeah, you can be a strong woman, but I would really, like, that would be my goal, is for women to stop referring to themselves that way or think that that is cute, because it's not cute. Just my advice. So, and I'm going to wrap this one up because this thing is going to cut me off and I want to get this uploaded in time for you guys. So, this was a great week, right? So many good episodes this week, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys for everybody who's been sticking with me. Thank you guys to the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. So many this week. I really appreciate it. I'm proud of this channel. I'm proud of the progress that we're making. We're in the 3,700 club, okay? I'm excited, okay? And most people say, really? It's like 3,700? It's 3,700 people that are subscribed to my channel. So I really appreciate it. I'm excited about it, and I'm celebrating that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. And if you're looking for extra quizzes and things like that, I do have a Patreon channel. I hope you'll consider subscribing to me there. The link is down in my description box below. And I will go ahead and wrap this one up. But if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.